Hey everyone, welcome to another $1,000 strap search. I've got my $1,000 in singles here and I'm about to show you what I found. But before I do, let's talk about this week's tip. Now, a lot of you are hunting errors, and you should. There are errors out there to be found. However, most of the errors that you're going to think you found aren't legitimate errors. Most of them are just circulation damage. What qualifies as an error? Well, the BEP has different classifications for stuff that they look for. And there are things that the BEP will let pass, and there are things that they won't let pass. When there is a major mistake on a note, the note is removed from circulation and is replaced with a star. That happens a lot. Look at how many star notes are produced. If you find an average of 1 star per strap, you're talking that's 1%. So that means 1 out of every 100 notes produced is messed up. Messed up to the point where it is taken out of circulation. A note that qualifies to be removed from circulation but gets into circulation anyway, that is what errors are worth money. When something gets out that wasn't supposed to get out, when something slips by, now it was an error that got into circulation. I'm not talking about a mistake that was made like a cutting error where they go, well, nope, that's fine, and ship it out. Is it an error? Technically, a cutting error is an error, but is it worth anything? No, because even the BEP didn't bother to pull it. The BEP said, this is minor enough that we don't care. When you start talking about wetting transfers, when you start talking about slight gas pump errors, the most minor of minor things, no, the BEP doesn't care about this. At some point, they have to put some money in circulation, okay? What makes an error valuable is if it is the type of error that the BEP does remove and yet it still got out. Does that make sense to you guys? So the error isn't what's wrong with the note. The error is that the note got out. How's that for a better answer? All right, so that's a little bit better definition of errors. You can find all kinds of things wrong with a note, but that doesn't mean it's valuable. What makes it valuable is the wrong note getting out of the BEP that wasn't supposed to. If you can go through a strap and find 15 bills that all have the same error, it's not an error. Well, it's an error, but it's not worth anything. All right, let's slide these up and take a look at what I found this week. Starting off with an error. Here, let me take this and show you exactly what I'm talking here. Look at the ink smear. See, got an ink smear. Definitely an error, right? You all agree that's an error? Well, here's how I know it's not an error. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this and I'm going to see that it's actually really dark blue compared to the black that's next to it. So it's not black ink. It's the wrong color. All right. Second thing is I'm going to look at the back. Well, what do you know? It's on the front and the back. Let's look at one other thing. Let's look at this little number here. Here's the location of the note. It's in position I5. Well, the note above it was I4. So here was I4, this is I5, which means when this note was printed, there was another bill here, there was paper here. So how did the ink get here and here? It couldn't have possibly gotten ink there during the printing process because this was not the top of the note. There was more paper here. After the printing process, that's when the notes were cut apart. And clearly after the printing process is when this portion of ink was added. And if that was added after the notes were cut, which it clearly was, that is most certainly not a printing error. All right, so I saw that. I wanted to pull that and tell you guys a little bit about it. Here's another note that people are going to say are worth a fortune. Look at the black lines. No, that's a bank teller counter stamp. That's all it is. Nothing special. All right, some trinaries. 1s, 2s, and 3s on this one. 1s, 3s, and 6s here. Here's 6s, 7s, and 8s. Looking at that, it almost looks like a radar. It is not a radar. Close, but no banana. 0s, 4s, and 7s, and nope, it's not a mash note. 4s, 5s, and 7s on this one. And then some quads. Quad 0s, quad 3s, quad 5s, quad 6s, quad 7s, quad 8s, quad 9s, and some stars. 2017 A star note. Checking to see they are not filled. 2017, nice and crisp. 2017 from Kansas City. 2017. 2013 B. And it's in the range. Remember, the easy way to determine the range is if the note is between 032 and 096. There are a couple others that are 0025 and lower, I believe. But for the most part, you're looking for 032 and higher, and all the way up to 096. So yes, that's in the duplicate range. Oh, and another one in the duplicate range. By the way, this particular one, this one is from Washington, and this one is from Fort Worth. And I believe the Washington ones are supposed to be harder to get, so yay. But once again, I found this one, and I found this one, and I found this one, all within the same 1,000 notes. So yeah, they're still out there. I know people are starting to pay ridiculous amounts of money for this, but don't get caught up. I mean, I would I would consider selling. In fact, I had 100 of them and I sold them because I don't feel that I am going to find a pair. And I am one of the likely people to find a pair with all the notes I go through. But I figure, what's the pair going to sell for? And am I going to make more money just selling all of these at once to somebody else? So yeah, I basically got the money for pairing a note without having to pair the note. I'd call that a win. Oh, what do you know? Another one, but this one is not in the range. See, the range would have to be 096 or lower, and that's clearly above. I did watch a guy on Whatnot try to sell a note exactly like this and claim it was in the duplicate range, but that's on Whatnot. All right, more stars. 2013, another 2013, another 2013, and some older notes. 2003A, rough shape, probably going away. Another 2003A, also rough shape. Pretty rough on this one as well. That's why I save these. Notice how every one of these, you hear me say the same thing over and over again. Pretty rough, pretty rough, pretty rough. Well, if you can find one that isn't, that's definitely worth keeping. So I always keep the best ones from each year when I do my After the Hunt set, because nobody else is. This way, at least I have a couple of them. Another 2003A, 2003, 2003, 2001, 1999, too bad about the stain. 99, a little bit better. And the oldest note I found this week, 1985. All right, so what did I pull out? Well, I scored another one of these. This is we're going to call it a major ink smear. It's between moderate and major. Generally, it would go all the way to the top if you're going to call it a major. But I find it interesting because the black ink is actually over the seal. So that's really interesting. See, now I can't quite make out exactly how this works. They do the black ink first, so I'm assuming that the black ink was put on there and then they tried to do the green ink over it, and that's why you can kind of make it out a little bit. That would make a lot more sense. When you're looking through the ink itself, see the 1 or the O in 1, you can't see the rest of the letters through the black ink here. So that's interesting. You can make out just the edge of the 2, but just barely you can make that out. But you can still see that this is most definitely black ink. Now, when you look at how dark this ink is, this is the proper color. It's almost completely opaque. Even in the spots that it's the thinnest, you can still see that it's black, not blue. So it is the proper shade. Now, the other thing you're going to notice is, let's look at the position. Here's the position, C3, which means there was a note above it and one note below it. And if we look at the back, there's no ink. So if this was done after the fact, what could very easily happen is the ink would bleed over the edge and get onto the back, but you can see that did not happen. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but I'm going to try really hard to show where the ink goes over the border there. Watch what happens when I tilt it. I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but you can see that the ink does not go through the paper. It does not wrap around this way, which it would if the ink was spilt on this note anytime after the note was cut. But since the note had the ink on it and then the ink dried and then the ink was cut, you can actually see the white of the paper width where the ink spot is. That's how you know that this is a genuine error. So that's pretty interesting. And it's 1969, and the condition of this is, it's got some handling right there. It's got handling here. So it's not uncirculated, but I bet you this would still get a 45 or a 50. Probably a 45. Probably a 45. So that's interesting. So what's the error book have to say? Here's Paper Money Errors. And I couldn't find an exact match, but this $5 note here has a very similar match. See, this is complete, and it's on a $5 bill, and they're calling this one about 200 in that range. This one they're saying about 75 in this, with this kind of range. So somewhere between, well, this one in EF is 100. So yeah, I'd call this $75 to $100 without a problem. But I know it's a genuine ink smear, like I said, for all those reasons. It's the right color. Based on the position, there is no bleed through on the back. The ink does not bleed through. No matter how dark it is, it does not get absorbed through the paper and come through the back. That's not how it works. So yeah, genuine ink smear. Pretty cool. Anyway, if you learned anything new this week, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.